how much actually has been released by the federal government, because it would be a different ball game if they don't speak up now, and then the people are like, okay, the federal government has given each state 5 billion naira, and then of course the indigents, the state residents are watching to see how much has been given out by the respective state government. And so in no distant time, we'll be having Nigerians, of course, tell you what has been, experienced in their respective state, and then measuring that with the 5, billion naira, and to see if it actually tallies. And in the event that it doesn't tally, the state governors are going to come on the attack. But of course, to prevent that from happening, you see the state governors speaking up now, that we've not gotten XYZ, we've gotten XYZ. But then, it's not about how much you're getting at this point. Let what you are getting be used significantly, efficiently to address, to the large extent, to the extent that the amount of you've gotten will be able to address the needs of the people within your locales. If you're able to do that, then whether it's 2 billion or it's 3 billion, is 1 billion, the people will get to understand that, okay, you got this from the federal government as palliative. You've been able to use that to achieve this, and that will be appreciated. However that goes, the people will appreciate. But the problem we will have is when state governors get the money, and then of course for whatever political sentiment. I know one of the very heated argument, for instance in Akwa Ibom State last, within the course of the weekend, was the governor advising people within the community, people within his political party, to ensure that this palliative is not shared based on party affiliations. Because when you have, say, PDP in a state, or APC in a state, or Labour Party in a state at the helms of affairs, and then palliative that is meant for everybody is being shared based on party lines. Don't forget, we are in a hurry that last time the COVID-19 palliative, I always would draw our attention to that. The leadership, the people who were involved in sharing this palliative were all within the PDP family in Akwa Ibom State as at that. And all of these palliative sharing were shared across party lines. That every locality, the team, the unit I joined and monitored in the media, was all given, they would always go to the party leader, the ward leader, the community leader that is in their party. And then, of course, you can always tell, even while you're there, you might have a few pockets of people from the community who are not within that party coming out. But if you listen to the comments coming from the party, it will tell you, this is not your party in power. This is our party in power, and so this is our palliative. It is not your palliative. So those kinds of conversations definitely are going to come. So it is very important and critical at this point for the government of the state to ensure that this palliative, the committee that is being set up, thankfully, across some states, it is a combination of people across board, the stakeholders, NLC, human rights, civil rights organization, of course, people within the ranks and files of government. But beyond that, let's get to see these people do due diligence of finding out modalities that will not limit the sharing to party. Because the moment we limit it to let's take it to ward excos, take it to party chapters, ward excos, and all of that. It is going to be death on arrival. Not every Nigerian, not every Akwa Ibomite, not every citizen across the respective state will be able to access the palliative. And of course, the end result will be an all-out protest on Nigerians.
Well, we hope that the speculations do not become the reality of Nigerians at this time. But then let's look at one of the very pressing issues that is happening in the country at this time. And remember that in the last couple of weeks, we've been having conversations around the crisis in the southeast of Nigeria, whether Nigerians should stay at home and, obey the sit-at-home injunction. We saw the embattled IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, alleged IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, come out to say that nobody, who says he's a disciple of his should be observing any kinds of sit at home. And he also had told, the Southeasterners that going forward, everyone should go about their activities and that no one should take any kinds of drastic measures in a bid to, force the hands of the federal government to release him. But, on the heel of those kinds of activities this week, of course, yesterday was Monday, and different states governments within the Southeast have continued to observe the response of their citizens with regards to the sit-at-home order. Do not also forget that on the heel of saying no longer are we going to be observing the sit-at-home. Simon Ekpa had still come out to insist that those sit-at-homes, injunction be, adhered to. But we see that no fewer than 7 markets have been sealed off by the Anambra State Market Amalgamated Traders Association for not opening for business on Monday and not participating in the sanitation exercise as ordered by the state government. So we see that about 8 markets were sealed off. Of course, the Agbo Ferry Market, Plastic 1, Plastic 2, Plywood, Dealers Association Market, Ogobike, and Building Materials, just different markets. 8 of them have been sealed up because the state government has said open up on Mondays and come do your businesses, but for fear of life, fear of loss or anything, not knowing whether the state government has what it takes to actually ensure that they are safe. Some of these people did not come out to do any kinds of business, but we see that the President General of Asmata, Chief Humphrey Anuna, and his team members during the visit to the affected markets yesterday expressed disappointment that the markets did not open despite the directive by the state government that all markets should be opening on Mondays. Of course, we've been seeing that this directive was aimed at helping to restore the loss of glory of the markets in the state, which had been affected by the sit-at-home exercise. We cannot, overstretch the conversations around how much has been lost with regards to monies generated within this state on Mondays, and it has been lost for the very longest time. We began to see the state governors put their foot down and insist that people go back to the markets and sell. But when we also hear that 8 markets have been sealed off, what are the modalities in place? For how long will these markets be sealed off? We are also still trying to make sure that monies are consistently generated, that people can, go ahead with their means of livelihood. Now, when you say that the markets are being sealed up, it means we are going beyond Mondays. It means that not selling on Mondays now makes you lose trade activities for the rest of the week. And what are the financial burdens that citizens are going to incur as a result of this? So this is a neither here nor there kind of situation. How much is this going to achieve for the Anambra State government? Sealing off 8 markets. We are not saying that they sealed off 8 stalls. They actually sealed off 8 markets, which can run into thousands and thousands of stalls and all kinds of business activities. Where would this put the Anambra State government with regards to business activities in the state for? We don't even know the period of time that they have said these markets are going to be sealed off for.
Well, we know that for the first time since the sit-at-home order kick-started in the Southeast, this is the first time the Southeast governors have met and issued a collective statement, a joint statement. It's also the first time we're seeing the Southeast governors meet with the National Security Advisor, security chiefs, and of course, collectively as a collective state within the southeastern part of the country seek the federal government's intervention in solving the sit-at-home order. This is the first time we've heard the Ohaneze Ndibo also speaking unanimously against the sit-at-home order. So it's literally like it's the first time we're getting to see a collaborative effort across boards condemning the sit-at-home order, and then of course seeking help to ensure that this issue of sitting at home on Mondays is being addressed within the Southeast. It's the first time also we see the National Assembly calling on the presidency, the federal government, to extradite Simon Ekpa back to Nigeria to face the full wrath of the law for the mayhem that his activities and his directive has brought to Nigerians across. But I'll still say at this point where, yes, since the directive was issued by the federal government, which is part of the conversations Nigerians are asking, we're yet to see the President Ahmed Bola Tinubu taking the drastic measures, the kind of steps, that is expected between the Nigerian government and the Finnish government to bring Simon Ekpa back home to face the full wrath of the law for the crimes he's been committing. Beyond that, one of the issues or the concerns that we also had when the Southeastern governors met and declared seek the obedience of the people in ensuring that the sit-at-home order does no longer apply was also the question of security. How much security has been provided for the people to go about doing their businesses? Because yes, sit-at-home must end. Yes, the government is condemning it. Yes, all the sociocultural groups have spoken in condemnation of it. Yes, but then will the security, with the socio-cultural group, will the government be around when these guys, show up with their AK-47s and automatic rifles, to destroy human lives and properties? The answer is dependent on what the government modalities has been. I would say before, not to hold forth for the government, but I do like to believe that before the government actually went the step further to shutting down, markets, they must have put in place, security measures to ensure that people who actually go out to do their businesses are secured and safe. But if they didn't do that, then we need to also hear, I'll hope that the market leadership across these respective markets will also speak to the people and let us know why they refuse to show up when the government has said, go ahead, show up, do your business, and be part of government's directive and activities in the interest of the state. Because if there was security provided for and these people refuse to show up, then it therefore means they themselves are enemies of the state, enemies of the people.
Yeah. Well, we see the traders also promising, the leadership of this market association that by next week, we're going to begin to see more traders come out to obey the new injunction to step out. But let's see how that is done. But still on the heel of that, we see that the embattled IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, has said he's no longer going to beg the federal government for his release. After which, of course, we had seen a court some time ago set for the release of the embattled IPOB leader. Of course, we see the fact that the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, he has told the federal government that he will not beg for his release after being cleared by Justice Binta Nyako of a federal high court in Abuja. Of course, this clearance had been given to him some time ago, and we've seen them write to the federal government. Of course, part of the reasons why this conversation is even coming on the front burner is the fact that his lawyers, as led by Michael Zahome-San, had said that the state of the DSS facility is very deplorable and not in good condition for Nnamdi Kanu to continue to be held there. Of course, he had requested that the Chief Judge of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory appoint a magistrate to inspect the detention center. Well, now, according to Kanu, he says begging for his freedom at this point will be an insult to the memory of Tai-led Pa Mbazulike and Mechi, who despite his age and ill health repeatedly traveled from the southeast to Abuja, pleading with the federal government to honor his dying wish. Of course, this conversation with Nnamdi Kanu and the federal government is one that is stretching in the manner that people don't quite understand why the federal government has decided that they are not going to even obey that court injunction that said that Nnamdi Kanu could be eased of the stress he's going through currently. But we see that that's no longer happening. He has continued to have this new narrative of let all the begging for his release, even by his followers, come to an end. But let's see how this will affect the whole narrative of the conversation with the Southeast crisis. We do hope that the governors continue to be, on the top of all of these issues, and there should be peace and tranquility in the Southeast, and let the trade continue. Of course, that is the beehive of, some very strong business activities. But we'll just put a pause to that particular story at this time and move on to Mary Joseph, who's on standby to bring us the newspaper. When we return, there's a lot more to look into on Rise and Shine this morning, and we'd like for you to do that by following us across all social media platforms so that you can make your contributions. When we return, Rise and Shine continues. Stay with us.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people. But there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on Channel 421 on Star Times to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories on how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
As of state and government, Secretary General, delegates.
Voting for Spectrum TV to recover for the lapses in
As of state and government, Secretary General, delegates.
Voting for Spectrum TV to recover for the lapses in
A very good morning to you and welcome to your morning news brief on Spectrum, live from Uyo. I am Mary Joseph. We begin the news brief with the reports that the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has stated that over 60,000 Nigerians have been killed as a result of the incessant clashes between herders and farmers. Abbas stated this in an opening address at the Stakeholders Interactive Session held by the House Ad Hoc Committee on the recurring annual clashes between farmers and herders in Yelmatu Deba local government area of Gombe State and neighboring local government areas including other regions of the country. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee probing employment racketeering in federal government agencies has said it will recommend the abolition of waivers to bypass advertisement to employment opportunities. The committee chairman, Yusuf Gadji, said this during the resumption of the investigative hearing. Reports say the committee accused the registrar of the National Postgraduate Medical College, Professor Fatiyu Arogundade, of the absideness of the recruitment based on the agency's presentation at the hearing. Away from that, the National Emergency Management Agency said it had helped no fewer than 298 Nigerians trapped in Libyan prisons return home to reunite with family and friends since it began a repatriation exercise on August 21, 2023. NEMA disclosed this in a statement shared on its X, formerly Twitter page on Monday. According to the statement, about 98 persons, included 124 females and 174 males, among which were 3 infants and 6 children. We quickly head straight to the foreign scene, where passengers have been warned that flights in and out of the UK remain significantly disrupted following an air traffic fault on Monday. Despite the issue being resolved within hours, Heathrow Airport said its schedule was still affected. Reports say hundreds of flights were cancelled due to the glitch, leaving thousands of people stuck at home and abroad. Meanwhile, the National Air Traffic Services confirmed the fault, said that it had identified and remedied the issue. We quickly head straight to sport, where Nigerian players were dominant at the Maiden Pan-African Scrabble Association's Winifred Awosika's Foundation African Youth Scrabble Championship. The competition saw 88 players from Kenya, Liberia, Ghana, Uganda and Nigeria engage in intense mind games over the 4 days. We'll have details of this and more in our news at 12. I am Mary Joseph. Let's head back to Raz and Chan, where we have Francis and Uyai on standby to have a wonderful morning.
Secretary General,
voting for Spectrum TV to remove 40 lapses in counting.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my Lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Glad to welcome you back. This is still Rise and Shine. Of course, we're here always to talk Nigeria and still encourage you to follow us across social media platforms, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTV.ng, to be part of our online community. Of course, this morning, Talking Nigeria started off with a very pressing issue, conversations around President Ahmed Bola Tinubu banning media houses from getting access to the presidential villa, and of course, to report happenings of government. The reaction from very own, reputable Syrup, who are asking the federal government, of course, the President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, giving him 24 hours to ensure that the ban is reversed on the part of the media to allow the media to do its job. We also talked about the feud between Obaseki and Shaibu in Edo State, where the governor and his deputy seems to be going endlessly at each other's throat, as the case may be. Of course, bordering on Shaibu's declaration of seeking to become a governor, and of course it seems that has gotten really under the skin of the current sitting governor, Obaseki, who is not taking it out easy on his deputy. We also talked about fuel subsidy removal and, of course, the palliative that seems to be taking an ending on the part of the relevant government agencies at the state level. We know different committees are being set up, apart from Osun State and a few other states who already reeled out the palliative and are planning to do so. We know that other states are yet to do that. And just yesterday, we also know that the Akwa Ibom State Palliative Committee submitted their own a report to the governor of Akwa Ibom State. And I recall that when that committee was set up, we saw the matching order that was given by the state government for the committee to also come out with modalities for the state government to also contribute its quota in addition to what has been gotten from the state. We also talked about the fact that over 8 markets were shut down in the southeast for refusing to adhere to government's directive over the sit-at-home order, and the fact that the IPOP leader Nnamdi Kanu said he's not going to beg the federal government for his freedom. These and many more are the issues that we have discussed within the course of our show this morning, and we'll still always encourage you that we'll be here. But while we're here, if you had missed out on the first part of a conversation, the social media platforms are there for you to be part of it. And of course, we're streaming live across this platform, all of which you can just do that on the go of the fingertips. But right about now, we'll be taking a short pause, and the next item on our list, we'll be looking at the Delhi Spotlights.
Spotlight this morning, looking at information from the front pages of our national dailies. We'll start with Daily Trust this morning, and the very big story on the front page of Daily Trust says President Tinubu unveils 8-point agenda. Is this one different from the old one that was, unveiled? Because, well, it warns ministers against underperformance. Of course, this unveiling was done at the first FEC meeting to be presided over by the president. So I can relate with the unveiling of the agenda to the new cabinet, of course. Yeah, so we also see we inherited very bad economy, says Wale Edu. We also see here find short-term solutions to fuel subsidy removal. Forex crisis, expert tells federal government. We also see here Cameroon notified us 7 days after opening Lacto Dam, says federal government. That's a new twist to the information, Francis. How are we now seeing this? First of all, yesterday, it was the fact that, yes, we were, informed about, Cameroon wanting to open up the dam. Now we are seeing that, they were told 7 days after the dam had been opened. Who is saying what?
Well, I wouldn't want to comment on that because the federal government might just feel like we are going too much of their neck this morning. But it's crazy when you have two different opinions coming from the same government. It's either there's somebody who is confused, or there's somebody who is not doing his job, or there's somebody who has woken up too late to realize, oh, that piece of information should not have been given out to the people. And now they have it. Let's find a way to, twist it around and make it look like it wasn't from us. But it's inconsequential. It's childish to find federal government agencies doing this. And to think that the Minister of Information, kick-started his conversation at the ministry, promising Nigerians that his ministry will not lie for the federal government.
We will not lie for the federal government, because we also saw the fact that I think it was NEMA yesterday evening that came out to assuage the fears of Nigerians. Remember that about 8 states were highlighted that they will be affected by the Lacto Dam opening up and releasing the waters. And NEMA came out yesterday to say, oh, Nigerians, there's actually no cause for alarm. We got the information and we've been working with the requisite organizations to make sure that no harm comes to the citizens. But alas, Daily Trust is saying this morning that the federal government says Cameroon government reached out to them 7 days after opening the Lacto Dam. All we want is to make sure that the states that have been highlighted are safe at the end of the day. Well, moving on from that story, we also see here 250 billion naira gas expansion fund dormant for 4 years, says federal government. We also see here PSC retires 4 DRGs for not leaving after Igbetokun's appointment. Really stringent police culture there that makes it really difficult for people that were not looking to retire anytime soon from the service having to compulsorily do that. Really, reading that story yesterday, I did not know how to feel about it. But I mean, it's a statutory, what we call it, custom that has been there in the force. Anytime someone who is at the same level with you is promoted to a higher responsibility, everyone at that rank, is forcefully retired. We saw that happen as the new government came into place. We also see that tribunal, Kano APC declares fasting prayers for 48 hours after NNPPs. Okay. We also see here residents invade Bayelsa warehouse, loot spoiled 2022 palliatives. That's that conversation we're trying to raise, Francis. Residents invade Bayelsa warehouse and loot spoiled 2022 palliatives. We don't know what to say about that. I think we've already said it. Well, Tinubu bars officials without specific roles from attending UNGA. Of course, you can find details for that particular story on page 34. And that's all we have on the front page of Daily Trust.
Well, next up this morning, and the kicker there says Tinubu targets economic revival, 50 million jobs in 3 years. That's a serious one. Still on the front page of the Nation newspaper, the writer under that story says, perform or be fired. Presidency warns ministers. That's on page 4. That's an interesting twist. I'd like to see how this will play out, if it's actually ever going to happen in Nigeria. All right. Still on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning, we see a Basiki, page 4. Of course, while we drop Sanwo-Olu's nominees by the Speaker, that's on page 27. Federal government stops frivolous official trips in cost-saving measures. Oh, That's on page 6. I'd like to really, see how. Okay, it's happening in one state and the other state is securing the stores.
Before one, is before armed, of course.
Interesting twist there. We also see APC tackles opposition PDP over Tinubu's economic policies. That's still on page 6 of the Nation newspaper. City Group